Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. So we are starting from the first session of the opening joint session, the theme of which is Bridging Worlds, Waqf-e-Aarzi as a Path to Global Equity. So there are three moderators, myself, Umar Malhi, Dr. Fazan Abdullah Saab, and Dr. Nadia Malik Saiba. So we're going to start this session with the tilawat and translation of Surah Baqarah by Dr. Noman Hassan Sahab.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ليس البر أن تولوا وجوهكم قبل المشرق والمغرب ولكن البر من آمن بالله واليوم الآخر والملائكة والكتاب والنبيين وآتى المال على حبه ذوي القربى واليتامى والمساكين وابن السبيل والصائلين وفي الرقاب وأقام الصلاة وآتى الزكاة والمؤفون بعهدهم إذا عاهدوا والصابرين في البأساء والضراء وحين البأس أولئك الذين صدقوا وأولئك هم المتقون. I shall now present the English translation, Surah Al-Baqarah, verse 178. In the name of Allah, the Gracious, the Ever-Merciful. It is not righteousness that you turn your faces to the east or the west, but truly righteous is he who believes in Allah and the last day and the angels and the book and the prophets, and spends his money for love of him on the kindred and the orphans and the needy and the wayfarer and those who ask for charity, and for ransoming the captives, and who observes prayers and pays the zakat, and those who fill their promise when they have made one, and the patient in poverty and afflictions, and the steadfast in the time of war. It is these who have proved truthful, and it is these who are the God-fearing.
Jazakumullah Ahsan al-Jaza. The next is welcoming remarks by Dr. Nusrat Sharif Saiba. She is the chair of MSLM 26. I'm going to also introduce her briefly. Dr. Nusrat Sharif Saiba is a PhD scientist with over 16 years of experience in drug discovery and preclinical development at Pfizer, Bristol Myers and Squibb, and AbbVie. She is currently working as principal research scientist too at AbbVie in rheumatology. Her expertise spans immunology, inflammation, and translational science, with a strong focus on autoimmune and inflammatory diseases. She earned her PhD in molecular immunology from City University of New York and her postdoctorate fellowship from Hospital for Special Surgery and Weill Medical College of Cornell University in New York.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallahu wahdahu la sharika la wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. Amma ba'du fa'uzu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Dear respected guests, on behalf of the organizing committee, it is my great pleasure and honor to welcome you to MSLM 26, the Medicine, Science, Learning, and Mentorship Conference featuring the 13th Annual Holy Quran and Science Symposium today. We are privileged to be joined by our distinguished keynote speakers, respected Dr. Tahira Siddiqa Nasir Sahiba, respected Sitara Buruj Akbar Sahiba, respected Amir Safir Sahib, and respected Mirza Dr. Nayyar Ahmad Sahib, whose participation and expertise by the grace of Allah will further enrich throughout our discussions in this conference. MSLM 26 conference represents a unique collaboration between Ahmadiyya Muslim Medical Association, AMA, International Association of Architects and Engineers, IAAE, and Ahmadi Women Scientists Association, AWSA, bringing together professionals from medicine, science, engineering, academia, and many other disciplines. We are delighted to have participants joining from diverse backgrounds, united by a shared commitment to learning, collaboration, and service to humanity. The world today faces many complex challenges, from health inequities and environmental concerns to disparities in education, technology, and access to opportunities. Addressing these challenges requires more than excellence within individual fields. It requires collaboration, a shared purpose, and a collective commitment to ensuring that progress benefits all of humanity. This spirit is reflected in our conference theme, Advancing Innovation to Reduce Global Disparities. Innovation has transformed our world in countless ways, yet its true measure is not simply in the discoveries we make or the technologies we create, but in how effectively those advances improve lives, uplift communities, and benefit those most in need. Over the course of this conference, we will explore how advances in medicine, science, engineering, and technology can contribute to a more equitable world. We will engage with emerging frontiers, such as the evolving role of artificial intelligence and the profound implications for healthcare research and society at large. As we begin this conference, I am reminded of the beautiful words of the promised Messiah Islam and emphasized by beloved Hazur, His Holiness, Hazrat Mirza Masroor Ahmad Sahib, may Allah strengthen his hands, and I quote, "Sincerity towards others and love for humanity is a part of faith. The definition of the highest moral values is that sincere kindness and sympathy be professed towards all of humanity without expectation of reward or recompense." And this is the spirit of true humanity. This principle lies at the very heart of MSLM 26, whether we are physicians, scientists, engineers, researchers, educators, or students, our knowledge finds its highest purpose when it is used in service to humanity. Our opening session is a landmark and marks Waqf-e-Aarzi, bridging global equity. Waqf-e-Aarzi embodies the spirit of selfless service, dedicating our time, skills, and expertise for the betterment of others. And this opening session will be led by Dr. Mirza Nayyar Ahmad Sahib, who's our distinguished keynote speaker. And this reminds us that meaningful progress is achieved not only through innovation, but through a commitment to ensuring that its benefits reach all people, particularly who are underserved. Attendees will have the opportunity throughout the conference to participate in dedicated technological section focused on humanitarian values that drives innovation, guest spotlight session, impact of Fazle Umar Hospital, highlighting the role of compassionate healthcare in serving communities around the world. There will be a fireside chat with mentors, a special student mentor networking dinner, and also a special ROR think tank session led by our keynote speaker, respected Amir Safir Sahib. We are especially honored to host the 13th annual Holy Quran and Science Symposium themed from Quranic inspiration to scientific breakthroughs. The Holy Quran constantly draws our attention to observe, reflect, and seek understanding in the science of the creation, guiding us towards scientific inquiry and advancement. The Holy Quran and Science Symposium will highlight the noble discoveries inspired by the Holy Quran, which continue to guide and enrich scientific development. In doing so, we will also celebrate the remarkable legacy of our pioneers, such as Professor Abdus Salam, whose contributions to physics, along with the commitment to faith, continue to inspire generations of scientists across the world. His Holiness Hazrat Mirza Masroor Ahmad, may Allah strengthen his hands, has stated that Ahmadi Muslim researchers, especially those engaged in sciences, should not only aim to advance the understanding of their respective fields, but should also maintain a constant resolve to seek evidence of the existence of one true God. His Holiness has further explained that this was the approach adopted by Professor Dr. Abdus Salam Sahib, and that he attained phenomenal success as a result. As we gather over the coming days, on behalf of the organizing committee, I highly encourage each of you to engage fully, share ideas, and build collaborations. Some of the most transformative breakthroughs emerge when disciplines intersect and when people come together and united with a shared purpose and faith. Lastly, I would like to conclude on a note from Hazur, our beloved Hazur Hazrat Khalifatul Masih. As scientists and researchers, it is up to you to exercise your minds and talents to seek out ways and methods to accomplish great feats of learning. Work with diligence, passion, and above all, constantly seek the help of Allah the Almighty at every step of your academic journey, and keep His Majesty at the forefront of your minds. And may we soon come to witness the dawn of a new Islamic golden age of intellectual progress and advancement led by Ahmadi Muslims across the world. Ameen. With that, I warmly welcome you once again to MSLM 26 and wish you all a productive, inspiring, and memorable conference. Jazakumullah wa ahsanul jaza.
Jazakumullah for the wonderful speech. The next opening talk is, the topic is Waqf-e-Aarzi by Dr. Mirza Nayyar Daud Ahmad Sahib. Dr. Mirza Nayyar Daud Ahmad Sahib graduated with a BS from the University of Kansas in 2010 and received his MD from the IU School of Medicine in 2015. Following his general surgery residency at West Virginia University from 2015 to 2020, he did a one-year surgical critical care fellowship at the University of Minnesota 2021. Shortly after his fellowship, he submitted himself for Waqf-e-Zindagi and started his work at Fazl Umar Hospital in February 2022.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Today I'm going to give a brief presentation over my experience as a Waqf. The topic is technically Waqf-e-Aarzi, but I'm just going to talk about Waqf in general and my experience as a Waqf, some of the challenges we face, some of the spiritual benefits you get, and then kind of finish with how to, for people who want to do Waqf, how to make it successful, tips to succeed as a Waqf. Okay? So, unfortunately, the formatting is such, so you might not be able to see the bottom of my presentation, but we'll go as we can. All right, so just some brief introduction about Fazl Umar Hospital. It was established by Hazrat Khalifatul Masih II, Raziyallahu anhu, in 1958. It started out as a small clinic. It started out as a small clinic and grew in several iterations to its current size and dimensions. So it was kind of built along as the population grew and as the more and more doctors and more specialties came. It's physically divided in 3 units. The main hospital, which you can see here, houses the peds ward, the medicine, male and female wards, the surgery, male surgery ward, and then the outpatient medicine and surgery clinics. Then there's the Zubaida Bani, which also falls under the main Fazl Umar administration, and that is mainly the gynae, outpatient clinics and inpatient wards, the female surgical ward, and the peds ICU. And then you have Thyroid Heart, which is kind of its own semi-autonomous portion, which includes cardiology, oncology, cardiac surgery, and dialysis. Right. Though Fazl Umar has 170 plus beds, I think about 177, and Thyroid Heart has about 90 beds. So fairly big institute between the two. The hospital provides medical services to Garkun, which are Jamaat-employed workers, as well as patients completely free, and then patients at reduced rates. So the reduced rates can be anywhere from 10% reduced to 90% reduced. It just depends on what their financial situation is. And then it also provides care to those who can afford it, the paying patients, right? Fazl Umar has some training programs. They're certified as basically what we call an intern training program for interns in pretty much every specialty. And then they're certified as a residency equivalent, what we call FCPS over there, in peds and gynae currently, and I think cardiology has been approved but has not been started yet. Peds and gynae have started within the last couple of years. So this is a little bit of dated information, but just to give you a general idea, things do get busy there. We get a lot of volume for the size of the town we're in. And it's pretty diverse types of things we see. The main thing you'll notice here at the very end is the amount of patients we're providing completely free care to is basically almost 70%, plus that doesn't include the ones that are subsidized. So as far as paying patients, only about, I think, 5 to 10% are actually full paying patients. So this does put a bit of a financial strain on the hospital. This is Thyroid Heart, again, also very busy. Both hospitals are quite busy, quite active. All right, here's our catchment area. So where the red dot is, that's Rabba. You go a little bit to the east and you have Faisalabad, and then across that river you can see coming down the red dot, there's the town across it, that's Jinyort. That is basically the limit of our catchment area in the east, because Faisalabad is Pakistan's 4th largest city, so a lot of patients, like I've had 1 or 2 patients come from there, but most patients in that area just go straight to Faisalabad. To the west, you can see Sargoda, which is kind of the bigger town up kind of northwest. We get patients quite from there, so that's our western extent of our catchment area. North-south, our catchment area is much higher. Like up towards the top, you see Mandi Bahalding. We get a lot of patients from there. That's about 3 hours north. And then down south, Jung, which is about 2 hours south, we get quite a bit of patients. So we have more of a north-south catchment area. But we get patients from all over the world, obviously, given that the members of the Jamaat from all over the world come to Rabba. We've had patients as far from as Canada and the US. I had a guy from France come and have his head lipomas excised because it was a lot cheaper to get it done in Rabba than it was in France, even if you included the plane ticket to get there. So we get people from all over the world, basically. So specialties that are currently at Fazl Umar and Thyroid Heart, you have your medicine specialties, internal medicine, cardiology, oncology, pediatrics. Psychiatry is mostly telemedicine, but there are people who visit from time to time throughout the year. Surgically, you have general surgery, which is basically, I cover general surgery, plus a few subspecialties, pediatrics, a little bit of vascular, a bit of urology. You have cardiac surgery, anchored by Dr. Mubashir, Dr. Mumtaz. You have orthopedic surgery, anchored by Dr. Ahmad. You have oral maxillofacial surgery, OB-GYN, and then part of the time of the year you have urology and vascular surgery by dedicated visiting specialists who come from the UK. And then we also have obviously an anesthesia service, but there's a severe shortage. So other services that are ancillary that are offered at Fazl Umar and Nayyar Heart, you have dentistry, the blood bank, which is technically run by Majlis Khulam al-Ahmadiyya, the laboratory, radiology, in which basic CT scan, X-ray, ultrasound are done. You have cardiac diagnostic, ECG, exercise, stress test, echoes. You have external shock lithotripsy, and shockwave lithotripsy for renal stones, and then you have pharmacy. So what's needed? We have quite a few specialties that are desperately needed at Fazl Umar. So the main thing that I bolded are anesthesia. When we have anesthesia, we have two anesthesia providers, but we need at least 1 to 2 more, like urgently. Nephrology is a huge need. We had a nephrologist, but she left. So now we have dialysis going on, but we don't have an on-site nephrologist. They basically come up with a temporary solution where nephrologists do teleclinic, but that's not a viable long-term solution. So we desperately need a nephrologist. We need neurologists. We get a lot of neurological diseases, and we have to send them all away, all those patients away. We need full-time urology, a lot of urologic disease there. Psychiatry in person, there's a huge need for that. That probably should actually be bolded as well. And then other specialties, pulmonology, critical rheumatology, a lot of rheumatic disease there. Internal medicine, peds, could always use more providers, right? The current medicine and peds doctors are stretched thin. We only have one truly certified pediatrician right now, that's Dr. Mirza Sultan Ahmad Saab, and we need several more, we need a lot more. Pathology on-site would be helpful, and then, like I said at the bottom, pretty much anything could be used. The only specialty we may actually have at capacity, but we could even use more of that, is cardiology, but all the other specialties are severely lacking. So here's my life at Fazl Umar. We do clinic, I do clinic 2 to 3 days a week. I see both surgical and non-surgical patients. Endoscopy, about half day a week, 2 to 3 days of operating room. And then I do a lot of teaching, medical students, interns, nursing staff, and then there's a weekly grand rounds at Nayyar Heart, and then we have like ward administrative issues, which can take up a lot of time. So I just should like to share this. I like keeping data, so I like to share my data. Just something I've been keeping the data since the first day I started. So just general procedures. These are all the different types of procedures I've done. So across general surgery, even a little bit of like interventional radiology, breast, ortho, like more of the hand stuff in ortho, endoscopies, some vascular, thoracic, urology, head and neck, and then critical care, right? So we have quite a bit of volume and variety at Fazl Umar, surgically speaking. This is my cumulative data, which is accurate as of Tuesday. That's when the last time I did a procedure at Fazl Umar. So in 4 years, I've already done about a little over 1,400 cases. So not a huge amount of volume as such, but there's a lot of variety, right? And one of the reasons for maybe the lack of volume is people there generally are a little averse to surgery. They don't trust like being operated on, generally speaking. So, and then there's also a lot of like, lack of knowledge about, things that need to be surgically dealt with. People like to try to get things dealt with via medicine as opposed to getting operated on. So, volume-wise, not as much as you would expect for the hospital, though the amount, the illness and the amount of patients who need surgery are there, they just don't get it done. But the variety is quite a bit. And then here's just some year-by-year data I've been keeping just for your perusal. One thing to note, like the red is basically morbidity, mortality, and wound infections. One thing that you should, be prepared for, especially if you're going into like a procedural discipline and you want to do Waqf, is in places like, Rabwa, where the health infrastructure is not as good, you are gonna, have maybe a little bit higher complication rate than you would like, right? And you obviously do your best to learn from your complications and try to limit that, but there is some amount of a complication rate you're gonna face, and you can't let that, scare you or, make you question yourself. It's just the nature of the patients that present. They often present late, and also the nature of the poor healthcare infrastructure, right? So just things to keep in mind. This is a tour of our hospital. So this is our main operating room. At the bottom center is one of our old ventilators, which when people would look at, they would take pictures of because they think it should be in a museum. This was actually replaced last year, so thankfully that ventilator no longer is used, but that's kind of what we were dealing with. That's the one on the very far screen right is our autoclave. Looks like a bunch of iron lungs for polio patients, but that's also, or a submarine torpedo room. But yeah, that's what we're dealing with currently. So sterilization can be a little bit of an issue. Yeah, this is up close, the ventilator that belongs in the museum. The bottom one was, both of these actually were our old ventilators. Just more scenes from the operating room. This is our ICU, is kind of top left, and then the rest of the bottom center, and then the rest on the right are our surgical ward. These are new additions. That's the new ventilator, so much better than the old one. That's the harm ligature device that, with the help of USA Jamaat, we were able to purchase. All right, so working, some challenges is working as a Waqf. So one of the biggest things is the practice of medicine is a very mixed bag. You have some that follow newer standards, but others that are following very outdated medicine, right? So the latest guidelines in practice management is not universally followed, right? And neither is the care universally patient-centered. And I say universally because obviously some people do patient-centered care, and some do follow newer guidelines, but overall it's not followed across the board, which is what it should be for a hospital that we want to make a center of excellence. People at every level of the hospital, right, are resistant to change, resistant to listening, kind of set in their ways. That's, from the lowest rung to the highest rung. That's something that really, you have to change. Again, there are some exceptions, but that's generally what I've noticed. The design of the healthcare is not patient-friendly or efficient, right? A lot of things the patient's family or friends have to do, like get blood, get their labs sent to the lab, get their medicines from pharmacy, things like that, which you would otherwise expect a nurse or a support staff to do. So that kind of delays patient care and makes it harder for the patient's family to actually focus on the patient themselves. Unevenly distributed resources, right? There's a lot more cardiac monitors in Nayyar Heart than Fazl Umar, even though cardiac monitors kind of should be ubiquitous, in my opinion. There's no focus on preventative health. It's more of a cultural thing. There's severe health illiteracy. Patients don't patients want to pick and choose what they feel like, and don't necessarily want to take the recommended treatment. And so if they need surgery, they'll be like, I want to take a medicine, even if you explain to them thoroughly that the medicine's not going to help. They need surgery. There's severe health illiteracy. Doctors who take on challenging cases can sometimes take a hit to their reputation, just because there's a tendency for patients and even hospital workers to sometimes gossip and, without understanding the facts, spread information which may or may not be accurate. And then most of the nursing staff don't have a recognized degree because the Fazl Nursing School is not recognized. Now that's changing, but pretty much more or less most of our staff is not truly qualified as nursing staff, even though if they work hard and do a good job. What are the benefits? Spiritual benefits, right? You do something for the sake of Allah, that's the most important thing of all, right? You're giving back to humanity. You're serving those who are poor and helpless and don't really have anywhere else to turn to. You have a real chance to advocate for patients. A lot of these patients come from other hospitals or doctors, and they've seen a bunch of different providers, and they haven't been diagnosed or haven't been really properly listened to. So you are their safety net. You are you're there to help them when no one else is there that can help them. You're back to bedside, and you spend a lot more clinical time with patients, and you empower patients to improve their health. And you see this, like, teaching, being involved in public health initiatives, that's all important. You get a lot of interesting cases. It's very academically stimulating. And, you have to be a jack of all trades. You have to deal with patients outside your specialty, right? You're only going to see surgical patients. I see all types of different patients, right? So, or a cardiologist can see, some type of other types of patients, right? So, you need to expand your comfort zone, and you need to kind of, learn to, do more with less, and, increase your medical knowledge and become a jack of all trades. So how to succeed? Adapt, be nimble, be flexible, think on your feet, expect the unexpected, understand the economic impacts of patients. For example, a patient, I told them you should just take, a medicine you should have a good diet for your diabetes instead of just relying on medicine. The patient was like, the metformin cost me 80 rupees a month. Trying to eat a healthy diet costs me, 800 rupees a month. So you have to understand the economic and social impacts on their patients. And then, spend time getting to know your junior doctors, build a base with your local doctors, liaison with them before you start your journey of Waqf, so you can hit the ground running, right? Your impact will take time. The first 1 or 2 times you go, you may not do that much, but eventually, with time, you'll develop a patient base, right? But don't give up just because the first time you go, you didn't see that many patients or didn't do much, right? It'll eventually build up, right? The first few times you're gonna have to struggle through it, but your practice will eventually build up if you do Waqf on a recurrent basis. All right, I can stop, that's fine.
Check, check, check. It's on.
So, Jazakallah for the presentation. I have a question. What was the one challenge which you saw and were able to overcome?
Let's see, one challenge I saw and was able to overcome. I think initially one of the big things was nursing staff wasn't used to handling very challenging cases in the wards, because most of the cases that were done were, very mild outpatient cases, very few serious cases. Then I started coming in, there were a lot more critical patients. So I had to really kind of teach them, show them, how to manage complex post-operative patients. But with time, people, with repeated engagement and actively working with the staff, they eventually understood how to deal with them. And now a lot of them do a reasonable job of taking care of those really sick and ill patients.
Jazakallah for the great presentation, Dr. Saab. The next speaker is Dr. Qamar Khan Saab, and his topic is From Intention to Impact, Waqf-e-Aarzi as a Bridge to Global Health Equity. Dr. Qamar Khan, MD, is an academic hospitalist affiliated with multiple hospitals across New York and New Jersey within the Hackney Meridian Health and Northwell Health systems. He earned his medical degree from American University of the Caribbean School of Medicine in St. Martin and completed his residency in internal medicine as Hackensack Meridian Health in 2020. He currently serves as the local Tabligh secretary for the Central New Jersey chapter and is a member of the National Public Affairs team.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Dear distinguished guests, respected chairs, dear colleagues, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. It is a profound honor to stand before you today at MSLM 2026, a gathering that in itself is a living expression of the very principle I have been asked to speak about today, Waqf-e-Aarzi. Today we are exploring Waqf-e-Aarzi not as an abstract concept, but as a living, practical framework for addressing one of the most urgent challenges of our time, global health equity. In the next few minutes, I hope to take you on a journey from principle to practice, from intention to impact. By the sheer grace of mercy of Allah, I was blessed with the opportunity to perform Waqf-e-Aarzi in Guatemala and Rabah, serving the underserved communities. This experience provided me with valuable first-hand experience and exposure to the challenges these populations face and deepened my understanding of their needs. Allah Ta'ala states in the Holy Quran in chapter 17, verse 71, "And we have certainly honored the children of Adam." The Quran affirms the dignity of every human being unconditionally, and yet we live in a world where the zip code or country you are born in is more powerful predictor of your health outcomes than your genetics, your effort, or your choices. For example, a child born in sub-Saharan Africa is 80 times more likely to die before the age of 5 than one born in Norway. This is not a theological contradiction, it is a human one. Allah has upheld His promise. The question this talk asks is, have we upheld ours? Access to quality healthcare remains profoundly unequal across the globe. 1.8 billion people lack access to essential health care. 1.8 billion people. This is nearly a quarter of humanity without reliable access to essential care. Low-income countries bear 90% of the global disease burden, with only 10% of healthcare resources. 90% disease burden and 10% of resources is perhaps the single most damning indictment of our current global health architecture. Note that the gap exists within wealthy nations as well. This is not just a distant problem. It is in our cities, our clinics, our emergency rooms. These are not abstract statistics. They represent real families, real communities, real preventable deaths. So what is Islam's solution to all of this? It is Waqf-e-Aarzi, which is an Islamic tradition of voluntary service, offering one's time, skills, and expertise for the benefit of humanity. It is rooted in the Quranic principle, never shall you attain to righteousness unless you spend out of that which you love. Chapter 3, verse 93. The Arabic word waqf carries meaning of something held in perpetual dedication, a solemn pledge. Arzi refers to an offering of oneself. Together, this is a professional pledging of our most precious resource, our expertise, our time, our knowledge. It is sustained service for humanity. As this verse in the Holy Quran states, it's very powerful. And what do we love most as professionals? Our craft, our expertise, our time. This is precisely what this model asks us to give. Our beloved Hazur, Ayadahullah Ta'ala bin Nasr al-Aziz, stated in UK in 2019, addressing to the Medical Association, it is not enough for our doctors to travel for a few days or a couple of weeks in a year. Rather, a heartfelt spirit of sacrifice is required and a genuine willingness to take time out of your lives to serve humanity. Imagine these two worlds now. World A, with specialist surplus, advanced diagnostics, abundant resources, robust health infrastructure, 10% of global disease burden. Now let's compare this to World B. Critical provider shortage, delayed and misdiagnosis, preventable deaths, crumbling health systems, 90% of global disease burden. The key insight here to drive home is this: the chasm between these two worlds is not geographic. People are not suffering because they're far away. They're suffering because of structural failures, underfunded systems, absent workforce pipelines, and misaligned resource distribution. Waqf-e-Aarzi names this chasm and offers the response. So Waqf-e-Aarzi actually serves as the bridge here. Now, how can we build that bridge? These are the three pillars of the Waqf-e-Aarzi model. Number one is presence, showing up where systems have failed. There is something irreplaceable about physically being there. Not a telehealth consult, not a donated supply shipment, a person, present, accountable. Pillar two, capacity building, teaching, not just treating. The most sustainable intervention we can make is to leave the community more capable than we found it. This is similar to the office that we hold in our Jamaat. You know, what we say is that once you leave the office, leave it better than you have found it. It's very similar in this case as well. Pillar three, advocacy, changing the system themselves. This is the least visible pillar, but arguably the most powerful. Taking what you learn in the field and using it to change policy, secure funding, and hold institutions accountable. That is where individual service becomes systemic change. And I do invite the audience to consider where they themselves might fit in one of these pillars. Across disciplines, the model translates. Whether you are a physician, a scientist, a public health professional, an educator, or a researcher, you belong in this slide. The Quranic verse from chapter 5, verse 33 is one of the most powerful in all Islamic tradition on the value of human life. And whoever saves one life, it is as if he has saved all of humanity. So what makes Waqf-e-Aarzi different is a sustained sacrifice behind it. It is not one-time act. It is orientation, a way of practicing your profession with an awareness of global need and the commitment to bridging it. Communities teach us about resilience, about resourcefulness, about what truly means to have healthcare delivery. We are there to give, but we return transformed. Medicine, nursing, public health, research, engineering, every one of you can make a difference. So what is the call to action? Everyone in this room has a skill the world needs. One takeaway to carry forward is to have an intention without action is incomplete. To remember that intention without action is incomplete, and action without intention is unsustainable. Ask yourself, where is my surplus? Where is there a need? And what is preventing me from bridging that gap? I end with this verse of the Holy Quran. Indeed, Allah will not change the condition of a people until they change what is in themselves. This is one of the most action-oriented verses in the Holy Quran. It does not comfort passivity. It calls each of us to be the agent of change in our own lives and communities. Jazakallah.
Jazakallah to Dr. Qamar Khan, who also serves as the Waqf-e-Aarzi chair for the MMA USA Waqf-e-Aarzi committee, and he's been coordinating all of our activities. So may Allah bless that whole group that's been doing this service. It's my distinct honor and privilege to announce the next speaker. Dr. Mubashir Mumtaz is a cardiothoracic surgeon at UPMC Heart Vascular Institute in central Pennsylvania. And his talk is entitled, Hands That Heal, Hearts That Serve. He serves, mashallah, as the head of department, director of the surgical valve program, and the co-director of the structural heart program. He also serves a tremendous humanitarian role at Thai Heart Institute as Deputy Director 2 for Professional, Academic, and Nursing Affairs in Pakistan. Dr. Mumtaz completed his surgery residency at the University of Connecticut and cardiothoracic surgery fellowship at Penn State Milton Hershey Medical Center, and he received additional training at the Cleveland Clinic. He is board certified by the American Board of Surgery and the American Board of Thoracic Surgery. By the grace of Allah, Dr. Mumtaz was recognized by the Pennsylvania Healthcare Cost Containment Council as in the 2016 cardiac surgery report as the top valve surgeon in Pennsylvania. Dr. Mumtaz travels internationally for humanitarian work and to help those with really no cardiovascular surgery options. And by the grace of Allah, he's married and has 4 children. In MMA USA also, it's my distinct privilege that he's the Naib Sadr of MMA USA. Naib Sadr Sahab.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ashhadu la ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lahu wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. Amma ba'du fa'uzu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Jazakallah for the kind introduction, and it's an honor to be among friends and other Ahmadi physicians to be here for the MSLM 2026. One correction, Sir, in the introduction, when I started the Waqf-e-Aarzi, the more regular Waqf-e-Aarzi in almost 5 years ago on a monthly basis, I gave up my chief of cardiac surgery position at my institution, so I just serve as the co-director of the structural heart program at my institution. I also want to take a few seconds or a minute to thank Dr. Mirza Nayyar Sahab. I know his presentation was very humbling and very direct, straightforward. He gave the information, but at least to me personally, he's been a great help in taking care of our cardiac surgery patients. Some of these patients are very high risk. In fact, in Rabwa, we do not get the low risk patients, the more straightforward cardiac surgery patients, because they end up going to bigger centers. So we end up getting some of the higher risk or patients or the patients who are rejected from other institutions. And after we operate on them, we leave after usually 10 days or 12 days of our visit there. And some of these patients were very sick. Dr. Mirza Nayyar Sahab really helps us take care of these patients after we're gone. He stays in touch with us. You talk about courage. Like he said, you should not be afraid. I'm really glad he's not afraid. There was a very sick patient who got into really bad trouble recently, and even though this is not his specialty, he's not trained in thoracic surgery, but he has experience in thoracic surgery. From his general surgery training, he was not hesitant to take that patient to the operating room and take care of the problem that was there. So I'm very thankful to him for doing that. It is really an uphill battle. In some ways, it is like climbing one of the higher mountains where oxygen level is low, if you talk about practicing as a physician, because the resources is not there. The oxygen is limited in these areas in terms of, metaphorically speaking, in terms of medical practice. You don't have trained nurses. You do not have credentialed people who are doing work for you. They've taken these people from the local community and trained them themselves. So Jazakallah, Dr. Nayyar, for all your efforts. For my presentation, I've tried to keep it very simple. We've been hearing about Waqf and Waqf-e-Aarzi for many years. Huzur has been talking about it for many years. And I feel that it's time that we start acting about it. And it's not that we're not acting on it. I think we need to increase our efforts and really make it part of our daily lives and our daily routine. So for those of you who may not understand what Waqf-e-Aarzi is, it is basically provisional dedication. It's a program where members of the Ahmadi Muslim community offer their time and skills for a defined period to serve the Jamaat. It is temporary in some ways, but it could be, if it's done on a regular basis, it's not temporary, it's more permanent. It's obviously voluntary, and it can have far-reaching global impacts. In the interest of time, I'll just go through this slide because Dr. Nayyar mentioned a few things, and Dr. Qamar also talked about what Waqf-e-Aarzi is. There's a hadith of Holy Prophet that says that the best of people is he who is most beneficial to others. So this is one of the ways to be beneficial to people and get blessings of Allah. The purpose of any Jamaat event, whether it's Waqf-e-Aarzi, whether it's the Jalsa we attend, the prayers we do at home or in congregation, the MSLM 2026 is very simple. At the end of the day, we need to feel or have felt that we made some effort in getting closer to Allah the Almighty, His Prophet, Holy Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, His Messiah, and then His Khalifa of the time. And if these activities do not serve that for us, then we've wasted our time. So for the person who's doing the Waqf, obviously these benefits are there. And obviously, spiritually speaking, as you are serving others, you also feel good within yourself that you're doing something, and that's human nature, that you want to do more following that. If I looked at the literature otherwise, that what do the worldly people say, people who supposedly do not believe in God, and there are scientific literature from Harvard Medical School, from Mayo Clinic. They've written articles about how humanitarian work can help you in terms of your clinical skills, your mental toughness. It gives you a sense of community, networking, and improves your physical health. So it's beneficial on many different levels. Dr. Nayyar mentioned about Fazl Umar Hospital, briefly about Tahir Heart, that the fourth Khalifa in 1980 expressed this desire that there should be a heart hospital in Rabwa. And subsequent to that, when Khalifa Masih al-Khamis became Khalifa, he started active work on it. In fact, he had started to work on it prior to him becoming a Khalifa when he was Nazir Ala. But subsequently, the foundation stone was laid, and in 2003, by two of our Jamaat's Buzurgs, both of them I met personally, very dear to me, Chaudhry Hamidullah Sahab and Mirza Khurshid Sahab. And it was a blessing of these trips that I was able to interact with them and then learn from them on several occasions, one-on-one. And in 2007, September 15, 2007, is when the hospital was inaugurated and the cath lab started, and a year after that, cardiac surgery started as well. at Tahir Heart, and then you saw the recent figures from last year that Dr. Nayyar presented, 185 heart surgeries. That includes congenital heart surgeries as well as adult heart surgeries, and inshallah, our team is growing. There are increased number of surgeons who are interested. Our main struggle in the beginning was lack of anesthesia support and lack of intensive care support, and we're working hard, and I think that situation is improving with time. I would request prayers for that. I will share some sayings of Hazrat Khalifatul Masih V. On 17th October 2003, Huzur said in his Friday sermon that on Jalsa, I brought the attention of our doctors towards doing either temporary Waqf-e-Aarzi or working permanently in our hospitals in Africa. Now, with the grace of God, the situation is much better. That means that there are some physicians there. The problems and difficulties faced by the original Waqfeen are no longer present, and Huzur mentioned some of these Waqfeen in our recent group mulaqat in UK as well. In the most places, the situation is much better and every facility is present. Even if a few difficulties are present, then keep your oath in front of you. That means that it's easier to practice medicine. It was much more difficult prior to that. And like Dr. Nayyar mentioned that things are improving, but obviously it takes a lot of work for these things to get better. So the Huzur is saying, don't get discouraged from that. Even if a few difficulties are present, then keep your oath in front of you, which is that just for the sake of Allah, you will use your God-given powers to help humanity. Come forward and fulfill this oath that you have made with the Messiah alayhi salam of the time, and make yourself the subject of his prayers. So this is Huzur directly talking to all of us. And I think it's highly important. We say this word commonly, that's saying labbaik to the words of Khalifatul Masih, and as physicians, I think we need to start realizing that Huzur has been talking to us for several years now, and we need to start taking action in that respect. Then again, in the 2018 annual address to MMA UK, Huzur said, Ahmadi doctors from here should travel to Rabwa with the exclusive intention and objective of serving in our hospital. When Huzur made these comments, I had the privilege of meeting Huzur after this address a few days afterwards, and one of my fellow physicians had said that Huzur had only asked the MMA UK to do this. So I asked this to Huzur. I said, Huzur, some people are saying that you've only requested MMA UK. And Huzur said, nahi, ye sab ke liye tha. So Huzur was speaking to all of us. Huzur says, MD doctors from here should travel to Rabba with the exclusive intention and objective of serving in our hospital. Indeed, it should not be as I have seen, that you go to the Pakistan to see your families, and during those family visits, you spare 1 or 2 days to work in the hospitals as Waqf-e-Aarzi. So again, I would say this is not enough. Your sole purpose should be to serve in the Jamaat hospitals in order to gain the pleasure of Almighty Allah. I will skip the last slide. I think I've made my point. But I would request everybody to go listen to the MMA UK address of Huzur Anwar from 2018 and 2019, and then the MMA International address from 2024, in October 2024. Please listen to that. They're all available on YouTube. This is one of my favorite couplets of Hazrat Aqdas Masih Maud alayhi salam. It's a Persian couplet. Huzur says, Mera maqsoodo matlubo tamannao khidmat-e khalqast, hami karam, hami baram, hami rasmam, hami raham. That my desire, my wish, and my objective is serving humanity. It is my job, my faith, and my inspiration and my way. So, my friends, I request that we need to answer the call to serve. We can see the world systematically unraveling in front of us. These are the latter days. If anybody has any doubt, just look around yourself. These are the latter days. And Huzur Anwar is showing us a way to save ourselves, our families, and we need to take heed from those guidance and instructions and do this. By the way, Waqf-e-Aarzi does not happen in a vacuum. Your families are involved with that. So the first thing you do is go talk to your spouse, and then write a letter to Huzur for prayers, and then start the process. Jazakumullah khairan.
Assalamu alaikum. I have the great pleasure of introducing Dr. Asima Bajwa for the next talk. Dr. Asima Bajwa is a board-certified cataract, glaucoma, and uveitis specialist and an accomplished cataract and glaucoma surgeon. She utilizes the latest techniques in microinvasive glaucoma and laser-assisted cataract surgery, including astigmatism, correcting toric, and multifocal lenses. Dr. Bajwa has won numerous awards throughout her career and is highly trained, previously working with Dr. Foster at Mercy in Boston, Massachusetts, and completing her subspecialty fellowship from Yale University. She has extensive international ophthalmology experience with Humanity First USA, having been on missions to Guatemala, and has served as a board-certified ophthalmologist from the College of Physicians and Surgeons in Pakistan. She lives in Virginia with her husband and enjoys designing, traveling, and sampling the area's diverse cuisine in her spare time. Dr. Bajwa.
Jazakallah for that sweet introduction. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. I am Asma, and I'm here in front of you to tell you something about global ophthalmology. Auzu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem, bismillahir rahmanir rahim. So many emotions pour in when you come to MSLM 26 and you see these people sitting right next to you. They are your emotional mentors, they are your professional mentors, they are your friends, colleagues, and supporters, and big donors who keep you going forward and do something about human health. And I'm emotional because the speaker right in front of me, Dr. Mubashir Mumtaz, he was one of the professional mentors whom I called one day that it's hard to get into residency. And he asked me a couple of questions, what I have been doing so far. And in the end, he said the same thing, write a letter to Huzur and start fasting once a week. And I said, really, fasting once a week? He said, yes, you have to do it. I said, okay. So next year, I majored in ophthalmology. And I'm going to say that let's all smile and say we can all see everything. So if you have eyes, you can fix your heart, you can do surgeries, you can see your patients and take care of all these ailments around you. So going to global ophthalmology, ophthalmology is the science of eyes and vision, and global ophthalmology means that you're taking your expertise outside your comfort zone and going to another country and helping them to see better. So Global Gift of Sight Humanity First USA was a gift to me as my wedding gift. My husband was volunteering regularly for Humanity First USA, so it came to me as a wedding gift. I didn't know anything 18 years ago about Humanity First. And then when I came from Pakistan, I started volunteering a little bit. And now I have been serving for the past couple of years as Director of Gift of Sight. So we go on to next slide, please. Oh, we're going to run this video, please. That's Dr. Bouchard, my chairman. He's cutting the cake.
Come again and again and again. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
And we are going to end here hopefully soon. He was the chairman and the CEO of the HF Healthcare Services, my boss. Extension of Nasser Hospital, a new office was inaugurated last year when we were there. And you see patients' experience in the very end. We can go to the next slide, please. These are all the testimonials that have been recorded by my students and my residents, and then we put them together into an annual report whenever we come back from that visit. So we are going to cover Gift of Sight Humanity First USA quickly. Nadia just told me I have 10 minutes left, where we serve, and then how do we arrange these trips and funding, of course, very important, and going on to the main big leap forward, which is called Vision Bridge. Next slide, please. We know that more than 2 billion people have been affected, visually impaired in the world. I know that this statistics is not correct, probably because of the current political situation we are going on in this world. We are watching it every day. All these wars and fights we do, then of course these numbers are going to increase tremendously. But this is the most recent report that we have, and Gift of Sight helps us to alleviate this visual impairment that we have in the world. Basically, we provide free screenings, glasses, prescriptions. Glasses is the major cause of blindness in these areas. Then cataract surgeries, of course. And then all around the world, but Humanity First USA is more concerned with certain countries. We have been allotted countries. Humanity First International takes care of all over the world. So we are Humanity First USA. So we go back to the next slide again. So you will see, I'm going to move my mic a little bit. Okay. So you will see that this economic cost of 2.2 billion people worldwide brings you to $410 billion of economic deficit every year. This next, and then of course, as everybody else mentioned, low-income countries and rural areas are more affected than in the United States of America. Go to the next slide, please. So we go to the next step and next slide, where we serve. Go to the next slide, please. I can move forward from here, maybe. Okay. Yes. So these are the countries Humanity First USA is considered to be responsible for: Guatemala, Tanzania, Burkina Faso, Mali, and many others. And I have not been to many, but I have been to just Guatemala. So I'm going to talk about Guatemala then. Next slide, please. I don't know, this cursor is not moving. Okay. So we're going to talk about recent trips. That is exciting. Let me show you some pictures. Next, please. So every year we arrange now 2 trips. Initially we started with 1 trip. Actually, these trips were started many years ago with Dr. Hassan Khan. He was my first mentor who took me to Guatemala when I was new to this country. That was the year of, I think, 2010. And I knew that he was doing a lot of things, but I was just observing and shadowing. And then now we arrange these trips. I have been doing it since 2022 December. I took this responsibility, and then we started planning these trips in October 2023. But I made this slide because I think 2023, once I accepted this position, once Hazur left from the USA mission, the trip in October 2022, that was the year I finished my fellowship. And I was just thinking, I'm happy, I'm done. I'm going to start my job and live with my husband again, whom I was away from him from a couple of years. So it was a homecoming for me. And then I received a phone call from my boss. He's the director and CEO of HF Healthcare Services, Mr. Majid Khan. And he invited me to Guatemala Hospital and take the responsibility to start a new department over there, being the director of a department that is yet to be born. That was a very new concept for me. So I said, okay. It was, first 4 days, I would say it was a little bit overwhelming. And I felt as if my shoulders are feeling heavy. I started praying, and then after 4 days, Allah Mia gave me the capacity to go visit Guatemala. And October this year, from January to October, so many things happened. It was so fast. January I visited, February we started fundraising. August and September, we started getting the equipment, brand new equipment being sent to Nasser Hospital, Guatemala to set up an operating room within the premises of the hospital for the first time. And then same thing happened, next slide, yes. So you can see the operating room was set up, and Dr. Gilda Rivera on your right, she's a Guatemalan retina surgeon. She works there part-time, now she is working from this year, thankfully full-time. She was the first one to experiment on that new microscope. So this is the latest version of the microscope. This is an operating microscope that we use to operate on surgeries. This is our foot pedal, the big screen where you can see what you are doing in the eye. Everybody around you can see it. And this is the big robot sitting next to you, helping you to do the cataract surgeries. We call it a phaco machine. Okay, so next slide, please. Next slide. Okay, and the big step forward was taken during the same year, October 2023, when Chicago Loyola Medicine came forward and collaborated officially with Humanity First Healthcare Services to make a group so that we work together. And chairman of the Department of Ophthalmology, whom you saw hanging on the pillar, he is my chairman. He guides me how to build up that department because I am new and he is so experienced. So we did this collaboration and we created a new logo. This is the room from where I started in Nasser Hospital, Guatemala. My slit lamp, I was sad to see that the ophthalmic chair and this chair and this slit lamp was sitting in a big storage room in the side, and HF Healthcare boss told me that if there is no doctor working and there is no funds being raised, this is going to sit in the corner. No one is going to give you any space. You have to raise some funds. So that was a new concept. Anyways, we moved forward to the next slide. And now we were in April 2024, within Nasser Hospital for the first time, we were operating under the roof of Nasser Hospital because we used to arrange a surgical mission outside the premises, and I don't know what time is left. So we started making teams, packing, planning, putting all these boxes together, go to Guatemala, and then set up everything from one weekend to the next weekend, do surgeries constantly from Sunday to Thursday. Thursday, we usually wrap up. We can keep moving because these are all slides about the trips. So we just do the same thing every year. Now we do it twice a year. And then at the end of Thursday, we usually do an academic dinner. And that's when, next slide, please. Next slide, please. Okay, okay. So here you can see this academic dinner being happened at Thursday night, and Dr. Bouchard is wearing a pink coat talking about HF Healthcare Services and Gift of Sight and Humanity First USA. He's a big ambassador for Gift of Sight and Humanity First USA. So then we also go out and hang out in the city and spend time with each other, get to know each other. This is not working. Okay, so these are all the slides of the trips. Let's move on to the next slide, please. This is not, no. Okay. Oh, so this is interesting. This trip in 2025, you can see two chairs were working together. Dr. Bouchard from Loyola Department of Ophthalmology, and then Dr. Petrionis. He came from Cook County Hospital. He's the chairman. Two chairmen working together in Nasser Hospital, Guatemala, to help us arrange the department. And Dr. Tom Mulligan, he runs his own private practice in Seattle. He came with his daughter. His daughter is a surgical tech, and father and daughter came together to spend the whole week with us and setting up the things over there and doing surgeries at the same time. It was beautiful to see the father and daughter together. Next slide, please. No, this cursor, no, it does not move. Okay, so we have more pictures. Keep moving, please. Keep moving, moving, moving. So this year it was important. This trip, you can see Dr. Bouchard again wearing this Guatemalan jacket with the Guatemalan birds on it. I'm wearing a Guatemalan owl today because people keep owls in their homes and hotels over there. So we keep moving. This trip is important because this is where we finally decided that how do we go to Vision Bridge? And then we went on, discussion. Keep moving, please. Keep moving. This is the most, it was also published through Loyola University. Keep moving. This is the data that we have. We don't see many patients because we didn't have full-time ophthalmologists in Guatemala, but we saw about 600 every year. And then move on forward, please. Now, the big step forward was the vision bridge thing. How do we create a vision bridge? This was our pilot project in Guatemala. How do we go to other countries? So we created, this is our fundraising page. This is the most important slide. You should all take a picture of it. And then please go to the next one. Oh, you can scan a QR code to go to our fundraising page and listen to stories of the patients. And then go to the next slide, please. We not only rely on our big donors, we also apply for grants to different organizations. We applied to Alcon. We failed for 2 years, but this year we were lucky. We applied to Bosch and Lomb, and Bosch and Lomb granted us happily $10,000 to spend on our Nasser Hospital Department of Ophthalmology. And we are still working on we have a separate team of fundraising and grant writing as well. So go forward, please. With peace, compassion, and humanity, you go to the big step, Vision Bridge. And how much time I have? 1 minute? Okay. So we are partnering together to make different moves. Move forward, please. Yes, Vision Bridge. Move forward. Move forward. This was the slide that was deleted, actually. So move forward. We're going to skip this. Skip this. Okay. Yeah, this is good. So for now, you can see that, hold on. Sorry, can we go to the previous slide, please? Yes, right here. So this is gift of sight we were talking about. We are talking about short-term care. We go, we take care of patients, we come back. But usually, there is no long-term follow-up. We are lucky at Nasser Hospital because part-time ophthalmologists and now full-time ophthalmologists available, so patients can come back for a follow-up. What happened to them once we left? That is the most important thing. So far, our patients are very happy since we started doing surgeries at Nasser Hospital. As Dr. Nayyar mentioned, you're going to end up having complications over there, not in your own country. My first complication that happened in an eye was over there in Guatemala. I was depressed, I was crying, and then everybody told me that this is going to happen to a surgeon. But luckily, next day, the patient was still doing fine and vision is excellent. She was very happy, an old lady, 95-year-old. She was blind, her cataract was black, totally black. So this is short-term care we are doing. Okay, but Vision Bridge is going to give you permanent infrastructure like Nasser Hospital, Guatemala. How do we do that? Sustainable healthcare services. So we go to next step, next slide, next slide. We are building this bridge from Central America, somewhere in Guatemala, and next slide, please. We go to West Africa, and next slide, please. Why West Africa? This is very important. I'm going to take 30 seconds. I'll go back to previous slide. Why in West Africa? Because as Hazur has mentioned many times, he loves Ghana and Africa, because they say that in 2100, by 2100, there's going to be an explosion of population, not only population explosion, but working age population will outnumber in Africa as compared to other countries. So next slide, please. And this is the Masroor Center that was inaugurated last month in Ivory Coast. And then next slide, please. This is the proposed picture of Tanzania Eye Hospital. Humanity First recently bought some ground, and now we're going to start building this hospital. So the Vision Bridge means we are taking the eye healthcare services from Guatemala to Ivory Coast to Tanzania, and then many more countries in Africa, and go and see their safari maybe. And then next slide, please. So this is just a foundation, replication, and center of excellence going forward to Tanzania. Next slide, please. And I think we are about to end sustainable healthcare. Next slide, please. So call to action comes back to this. I just added this slide this morning because my idea was that even when you start your private practice, you can still be productive to go and talk about Humanity First. So this is our small practice that we started 8 months ago. And the baby has this tab that is the most important tab for me. I always go there. I don't go to anywhere else, but gift of sight and how to go to these links and do a fundraising or become a volunteer yourself. Go to next slide, please. I think this is the QR code you're gonna all scan. Go to next slide, please, and we are done. These are the babies that were born in Nasser Hospital, Guatemala, the first 2 babies, and now they're big enough. They were there to inaugurate the extension of Nasser Hospital. Thank you, Jazakallah, and I'm here for any questions if you have. Sorry for taking extra time. Okay.
Jazakallah, Dr. Asima Bajwa, for an excellent presentation. We'll now move on to question and answer session. So if anybody has any questions, please come up to the mic and go ahead.
Ji, Assalamu alaikum. I just wanted to ask, at Fazl-e-Umar Hospital, what is the percentage of Ahmadis versus non-Ahmadis patients? Jazakallah.
So, Fazl-e-Umar, it's about 80-20. 80% are Ahmadis, 20% are non-Ahmadis. Diet Heart is probably opposite because it's more specialized, so you get a lot more non-Ahmadis coming from all over Pakistan.
I have a question for Dr. Asima Bajwa. When you say, the Nasir Hospital is open for volunteers, are you looking for doctors and nurses, or are you looking for other specialties as well?
So, Jazakallah for this question. It's a really important question. Dr. Mumtaz is going to say, let's go to Fazl-e-Umar, and I'm going to say, let's go to Nasir Hospital. So it's a very good competition. So for me, it was easy, because in October of 2022, when Hazur was here, I was supposed to ask him the same question, that Dr. Mumtaz is telling me to go to Fazl-e-Umar, and yet from my family responsibility and my commitment to my home and my husband after coming back home after so many years, what should I do? And I was reluctant, because I had made a promise to Hazur many years ago that even before I came to USA, that I would love to go back to Fazl-e-Umar, because that was my first area of internship. When I finished my final year of medical school, I graduated a couple of years after Dr. Tahira Sadiqa. I used to see her name on the topmost students in my school all the time. And that's when I made a promise that I'm going to go back and do something for Fazl-e-Umar. And Hazur, at that trip, we were collecting some donations for a big flood in Pakistan. And we collected a lot of money, but that money was confiscated by the local government. And the money was not being returned to the people who need it. And they were not able to even return the money back to Humanity First USA either. So the meeting with Humanity First USA was being conducted with Hazur, and Hazur, we asked, I didn't ask, the senior people asked Hazur, this is what happened, what should we do? And Hazur said, why don't you think of other countries? Why don't you raise money for Guatemala and Africa and do something over there, and then forget those people who are not even able to use your donation money, because you're answerable to your donors for every penny you raise. So that made my decision easier, that I can volunteer for Humanity First and then go to other countries. But now, Humanity First USA, the website, if you go to, you can always register as a volunteer and tell us what is your expertise, how would you like to volunteer. Regarding gift of sight, I can say that because we have limited space available at Nasir Hospital, Guatemala, so we make a team of 16 to 18 people, and we try to make a group which will include all tiers of expertise. So chairman, the program director. Now I'm lucky I have an associate program, Dr. Dimitrov. She started working with me 2 months ago. She is at University of Michigan. And then we have a tier of senior residents, a fellow, junior residents, pre-med students, and then even college students. So 16 to 18, group of 16 to 18. And that's how we can accommodate them together, to live together for security reasons, travel together, logistics. It's easier for, otherwise my boss, Mr. Majid Khan, is very strict. He's going to give me those looks that why are more people coming, we cannot accommodate. So because of productivity, we have limited number of patients and limited space, so you cannot accommodate everybody, right? But does that answer your question, or is there anything else that you were looking for? Oh, yeah, that's an excellent question. So when Hazur came in October of 2022, and our president, Dr. Fazan Abdullah, and the executive team had a meeting with Hazur in Dallas, Hazur mentioned a different vision for us. He said that AMMA does not mean that it's only medical association. You should be inclusive of all people who are related to healthcare services, and that's why you see our excellent mentor, Dr. Shanaz Bhatt here, and then you see many other people sitting here. They are scientists, or they are paramedical staff, or nursing staff, or technical staff. Without my technical staff, I cannot function. I'm here today because my staff in my office is doing something else right now. So, and they let me go for a day off to spend with you guys here. All people, pre-medical students, med students go with us. Even a high schooler last year, last minute, a position opened up because one of the medical students couldn't go. So then Dr. Petrionis, the chairman of Cook County, he requested if his son can volunteer. And he was our clinical coordinator at Nasser Hospital. So anybody can go.
Can I just, Assalamu alaikum.
Welcome.
So I have a comment rather than a question. So Asima Bajwa, Dr. Bajwa, I love your enthusiasm. I could see it pouring through. It's very contagious. And believe it or not, I can see the passion. And for Dr. Mumtaz, you may not have heard it in his voice, but the passion is there. It's, he's very enthusiastic. And I had the pleasure of meeting Dr. Nayyar this April. And I see the hard work that he does. I just saw like a fraction of what he does. Me having said all of this, I would highly encourage everyone here to please seek out these individuals. They are actually doing the work, and I know there are a lot more who are doing it, but they didn't come up. But the ones who are doing Waqf-e-Aarzi, please seek them out. They will inspire you. They will answer all your questions. They will, make you feel at ease if you have any hesitancy of doing Waqf-e-Aarzi, because research has shown that helping humanity is definitely good for your mental health. It not only makes you feel good doing it, but once you start feeling better, like the family, like people around you, start feeling better too. So if you're looking for some sense of direction, purpose, please reach out to them. And so bless you all, and may Allah continue to give you fortitude and strength.
Just one last question, and then inshallah we'll go for the breakout.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. Jazakallah. My name is Noman Hassan. I'm a general surgeon from Canada. Got a quick question. Great speeches and great insight from everyone. But this question is for Dr. Nayyar and respected Naib says, every time we met Hazuri Anwar, he's mentioned that we should go to Bajwa in Pakistan and work at Fazl Umar Hospital. But one of the challenges that I foresee is adapting to the new environment and challenges that come along with it. Both of you have gone from the West. What is your recommendation, your advice to someone who's going for the first or the second or third time? What can they do to prepare themselves before landing in Pakistan so that we could be on the ground making use of our time and being efficient? Jazakallah.
I would just make it very brief and let Nayyar comment on it, but Hazur has mentioned this on several occasions, ke waqf ki ruh paida kare, create spirit of waqf in you. So what is the spirit of waqf? And that's something that we need to have a day, a conference dedicated to it, and an entire session just in a few minutes. It's hard to say, but the key thing is that we have to leave everything behind. I know we are on our high horses here in the US. I myself am. When I go back and forth, when I'm here, I want everything perfect. I want every expensive medication, but we have to leave that behind, and we have to be very, very humble and work according to resources that we have. And at the same time, try to improve the local system within their means, within their capability. I'll let Nayyar comment.
Assalamu alaikum. Yeah, I mean, building on Dr. Saab's point, the first thing you have to remember is why you're going. You're doing it for the sake of Allah, right? One, for the sake of Allah, and then two, to help the patients, like I mentioned in my presentation. These patients don't have anywhere else to go. They are at the bottom of the barrel, right? If you don't pay attention to them, they'll die or they'll suffer or something bad will happen to them, right? So you have to remember that, again, you're their safety net, so you have to, do the best you can to help them. Sometimes you can't help them, right? And understand that too. It's like you do your best. Sometimes you can't help everyone. Just help as many as you can, and then for those you can't help, show kindness and compassion, and that'll go a long way, right? And then the second thing, like I said, like before you landed, understand that there's going to be challenges. That's why I put the whole challenges section up there, not to scare people off, but it's my job to, explain that there are going to be challenges, and if you don't understand that point, then you're setting yourself up for failure, right? So there are going to be challenges, but you also need to think about ways how you can overcome them, right? And then, understand, like I said, understand the patient's perspective, right? And also understand that some patients, you're not going to convince them to do what's best for them, right? But, your job is to explain to them fully, based on science and facts, and then, ultimately they have to make their decision, right? So these are some key points. And then like Dr. Mubashir said, do more with less, learn to use an ancient ventilator or, in general surgery, operate without a ligature or, do things like that, right? Learn to do more with the minimum amount of resources, right? While still advocating to have those resources, I don't disagree with that, but learn to do more with less, and then be nimble, flexible, be able to face any situation, right? This actually teaches you to be a better doctor. Waqf is very good at teaching you how to, be an old school, thinking fast type of doctor, right? Which you don't necessarily learn as much here in practice.
Jazakallah, I think we are running out of time. Thank you very much. This was an excellent session, and when we planned the program, this is exactly how we plan it. We want to talk about Waqf-e-Aarzi because we want to motivate, inspire everybody to do more for the sake of humanity. Having said that, I want to thank everyone for an excellent discussion that we've had. And now, moving along, we have a short break, very short. And then after that, you will please move into there are 3 parallel sessions going to take place just now. The first one will be you'll go upstairs if you choose to go to the AMA session, which would be AI rewriting the practice of medicine. That will be upstairs in rooms 2101 and 2102. The second session will be on this floor, rooms 1101 and 1102. They are closer to the dining areas. That is the engineering group. They're going to talk about AI supporting decisions in engineering. And the third group will stay right here in Salon 1 and 2, and they will be discussing minds and machines, exploring AI across different disciplines. Jazakallah.
Ji, Assalamu alaikum. This breakout sessions are going to start exactly at 11 a.m. So please be mindful of that. Secondly, also download the C-Vent app. That'll help you keep track of the program online. Jazakallah.